Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us in our yearly staff meeting to examine data from last year's AZ Merit Math Test. And this conversation is really to give an overview of the academic data and share some interpretations of the data, identify strengths and gaps, and really think about what we are going to do as a school team in order to improve the learning for all of our students and help them reach mastery. So um, our data is shown for third through eighth grade, and the blue and orange is showing the proficiency. So third graders met proficiency at 57%, fourth at 53%, fifth at 37%, so we saw a dip, sixth at 29%, slightly lower dip, seventh grade all the way back up to 50% proficiency, and eighth grade is at 45% proficiency. To better understand these numbers, I was able to compare them to Arizona State's average proficiency rate, and with the exception of fifth and sixth grade, we are above the state average, which is really exciting. In fact, for third and fourth grade, we're above state by 9% and 8%. For seventh and eighth grade, we're above the state by an entire 19%. We should also celebrate with proficiency scores above 50% for third and fourth grade. We have more students who are passing the AZ Merit than failing the AZ Merit. Looking at our demographic data, we can see here on the chart that which compares 2015 to 2016, what's really exciting is all of our students of color, including American Indian, Asian, Black, Hispanic, and multiracial, showed about 2 to 5% growth between 2015 and 2016. And this is significant because these are groups that have traditionally been marginalized in public education and usually show lower levels of success. However, it's important to note that our white students are actually performing at the lowest proficiency level at about 22%, compared to the other subgroups at 38 to 72%, which in other words, white students are performing about 1/3 to 1/2 the level of the other students, and they're also the only demographic group to show a decline between 2015 and 2016. Diving into our data with our English language learners, we have some exciting news to share. Our English language learners increased in proficiency from about 3% to 11%, almost a 400% growth. Now, this is lower than our overall proficiency averages of about 50%, but something incredible is happening in our ELL classrooms. And in terms of our general education as a whole, we can see again a slight growth in proficiency, about 4% for general education. However, for our students with disability, we're only seeing about 4% overall proficiency, and we also see that the scores are stagnant, so there's not an increase there. Going back to while we're talking about improvement, going back to our overall demographic data, we mentioned that 5th and 6th grade proficiency scores were below the state. In fact, 5th grade scores were 37, were 37%, and 6th grade scores proficiency was only 29%, so significantly lower. What's really concerning is actually looking at the yellow, which are students scoring minimally proficient. And we can see in 5th and 6th grade, our students who are minimally proficient are the largest buckets as compared to the other grade levels. In fact, students scoring minimally proficient it's happening at about a rate of 1.5 to 2 times the rate of all the other groups. So not only are fewer students failing to meet proficiency, but they're failing by a pretty wide margin. So now, in order to better understand our scores, we need to have a little bit more information. As we stated, 5th and 6th grade scores are lower and they do not follow a state trend. So this isn't happening statewide. So then we have to consider what might be happening at the school level. Can we look at the PLC work within 5th and 6th grade and consider how is the curriculum aligning to the rigor and the content in which students are engaging in on the AZ Merit? We can also consider, does this have to do with where our students started out at? We are missing 2015 data in order to see, were these students starting out lower in the first place, and we're actually seeing some growth that has happened between 2015 and 2016. With respect to the demographic data, pull that up. We want to think about why might the white students, our group of white students, be performing lower or even kind of showing a downward trend. And I think the issue of cultural competence is really important. How does the demographic makeup of our teachers compare to our students? Are our texts truly diverse, where it is inclusive of all identity markers along lines of race, class, gender? And with knowing that our special ed students are struggling more, our ELL students have a lower proficiency rate, are we considering other data points such as discipline data, attendance data, Lexile scores to begin with, student grades, because all of these will give us a fuller understanding of root causes. And of course, we want to learn from our strengths too. With the incredible growth seen in the ELL classroom, what made the difference there? And how can we apply those good practices to a wider campus level so that all of our students can engage in this good pedagogy? So in order to continue to have an upward trend, a trajectory of improvement, we want to make sure we're including all of our stakeholders, including students and parents. This is our opportunity to communicate to parents. This is their current AZ Merit score. This is what it means. We can celebrate with parents and students their growth from last year. And for our students who are failing to meet mastery, we can also communicate the importance of attending the interventions and taking the AZ Merit seriously in their academic path. So I'm thinking of the importance of having a response to intervention model to ensure all of our different student subgroups are being addressed so that they can continue to improve in their 2016-2017 scores. So because we all use Galileo in our benchmarks, I think it's important for students to track their Galileo data with each quarterly benchmark in order to measure their growth and also attend more interventions if they show a decline. We can also reach all of our students through the work we do in PLCs. And I think at staff meetings, it's a really important time to share PLC work data and also give the space for sharing not only best practices, but also to problem solve any challenges, any trends that we see, anything in which we can bring in our professional development specialists to address some of those needs. For our students that are highly proficient, we want to make sure that they have enrichment in their curriculum, be it through gifted programming or an after-school extension class. Students who are partially proficient, really all students, but we can meet their needs by making sure that we are abiding to standards-based grading and really allowing students to reteach and retake individual standards so we can be accountable for all of their learning. We always say we never want our data to be autopsy data. Data is simply a snapshot, and it's up to us to engineer what we're going to do with that snapshot. Our students with minimal proficiency, for whatever reasons, whether it is because of learning needs or other issues, we want to make sure they simply need extra time. So we can restructure our homerooms, which traditionally look at study skills, and actually have intentional academic intervention and potentially smaller homerooms for those groups of kids. Our students with special needs, we want to make sure that their IEP goals are up to date, that they are compliant, and that they are receiving the modifications and accommodations they need, not only on the tests, but also in the classroom to meet their goals. In order to know if our plan is really working, we're going to have to use our Galileo data and look at it quarterly. If the data is suggesting that we are not making the improvements we thought we would, we'll need to reevaluate. Some questions that may come up are teachers providing interventions with fidelity? Do we have alignment of rigor and curriculum? Are all stakeholders invested in this vision? Do we just simply need more time through Saturday school and after school boot camps? Once these hypotheses are confirmed through data, then we can begin to take appropriate action steps to shift gears and revise our plan for improvement. And if quarterly data shows success, which we hope for, we should acknowledge PLC teams at staff meetings. PLCs can acknowledge individual teachers. We can let families know through phone call home, a letter home, just to talk about our kids' progress. And I think we should invite all the students who are showing gains to a special assembly, maybe give light refreshments, and just to say we really value the work you're doing. The work you're doing academically is important, and we're aware of the gains that we're making. I know that together as a staff, we can put our heads together and really move the needle forward for our students. Thank you so much for your time today.